Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Dr. Fate action figure. This is going to be Dr. Fate as he appeared in the Injustice games, but he's not too far from his normal comic appearance. Happy to add another DC Universe hero to the mix, and especially since he sort of looks like the regular Dr. Fate. There's also a Platinum Chase variant of this, and I believe he just has a lighter blue on his costume. So let's check out the packaging here. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts. McFarlane Toys got Spawn logo, ages 12 plus. DC Multiverse, Dr. Fate. Here he is in the package, no traditional accessories. Looks like we got a flight stand and then a collector's card. One side of the package, Dr. Fate from Injustice 2. Other side, somebody says Dr. Fate. The bottom, there's a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that helps anybody. And the back side, got Dr. Fate posted up. And here are a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures you should check out. So I got my figure from Amazon.com, pre-ordered it a while ago. They sent me Hot Pursuit Flash the other day and delayed Dr. Fate. They said there was going to be till the end of the month, but sure enough, a couple days later, here he is. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. He does come with a transparent flight stand as well as a collector's card. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Dr. Fate from Injustice 2. His real name is Kent Nelson in this particular version. So let's take a look at him. As you can see, he's got the infamous helmet of Fate. It looks great, and it's not the same one they used for the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman. See his ears sticking out. Now, one thing, I keep wanting to sort of turn it further up, and it doesn't go back more. It almost feels like he's looking down. I mean, we're looking at him straight. He's not looking down, but it definitely leaves me that impression when looking from the front. Could definitely use a little more range of motion there, but it looks fantastic. I love the fact that Dr. Fate is more or less in his iconic look. The armor is great, little logos here, the same thing here. Different texturing on the different parts of the suit, very well done. He's got this soft goods overlay here. You can see I can push almost all the way in there. Looks like double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Very nice armor on his knee and his shins. His cape is a very unique color, very light yellow. They do a good job of showing you that it's different from here. It's not gold. Now, one thing I don't like is the sort of wrist balls here. They look absolutely awful. It feels like the hand should have been pushed further with the ball inside there. It just looks really bad the way they did this. But beyond that, the figure looks great. I mean, come on, McFarlane. That looks anything but good. And now a closer look at his face or helmet. Very smooth. Definitely captured that look of Dr. Fate. I definitely like that. Now let's look at his accessories, and let's start off with his display stand. His flight stand comes in two separate pieces. You got the base, then the post. And when put together it looks like this. We've got the transparent base here, it says DC on it. Then we got this post that goes up, and there's this clamp here. It is hinged. It can rotate, and it's got this clamp that'll hold your figure. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, here's the figure posed up. Dr. Fate for Injustice 2. There is a description on the back. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. So Dr. Fate doesn't come with any traditional accessories of his own, so I decided to take this sound blast effect from Shriek. I thought it might work good for sort of a magic spell or a shield spell for Dr. Fate. Has a nice energy look to it, semi-transparent. Let's see if that works out. Here's Dr. Fate holding Shriek's accessory. I think it works out pretty good. And the Target exclusive version of Shriek came with this sound accessory. A little bit different. Still looks pretty cool, Dr. Fate. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, as well as some other accessories you can use to enhance his figure, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his helmet, sitting at about 7.25 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 18.5 centimeters. And if you go to the very tip of his helmet, probably about 7.3 inches tall. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down just a tiniest little bit. It would really benefit to be able to look up a little bit more. Can't tilt from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint. His shoulder pads here are very soft. Just kind of get them out of the way. They can go up over there very easily. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area. Just increase the range of motion here. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrist has that ugly ball in it. It can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Torso here, he's got the soft goods overlay. There is a ball joint in his waist, and I'm pretty sure he has a ball joint in his torso as well, but you're not going to get too much out of that. Mostly his waist here, you can go forward and back, and it will hold some of those poses. I noticed his little torso just came untucked. Simple enough, just tuck it back in, it goes right back inside there. Can rotate from side to side, and it does hold those poses. Legs go out about this far. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation, pretty much non-existent there. Go forward, about that far. Back, not too much. Double jointed knees below that. Then his ankle here, it's got a ball in it similar to the wrist. Goes forward and back. Can rotate. Can tilt and rock. And he has toe articulation. Here's Dr. Fate flying above the city rooftops. Here's Dr. Fate holding his own, defending himself against some magic that's destroying this entire building around him. Here's Dr. Fate breaking through the building, going on the offensive. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Hopper suit White Flash. This is the other figure from Dr. Fate's assortment. These guys are both from Injustice 2. And here he is, next to the first assortment of Injustice 2 figures. We've got the standard looking Flash, Gorilla Grodd, and then the silver Platinum Chase variant of Gorilla Grodd. And speaking of Platinum Chase variants, there's a Platinum Chase variant of this Dr. Fate. He's in a much lighter shade of blue. Can't wait to find that guy. Here's the entire McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 collection. The only one I don't have is the Platinum Chase variant of Dr. Fate. I'm really hoping they expand on this line. I'd love to see a Batman or some other Batman characters from Injustice. Here he is, next to some previous McFarlane DC Multiverse video game figures. The first assortment had Arkham Asylum Batman and Arkham Asylum Joker. The next assortment had Arkham Knight Batman and Arkham Origins Deathstroke. Then we had the first series of Injustice figures, and now the second series of Injustice figures. Rumor is, the next couple waves, I believe, are going to be from the Gotham Knights video game. At least there's been rumors of some upcoming figures. It's possible they're from the Arkham series, but my guess is on Gotham Knights. And of course, these figures got their variants as well. And here he is, next to some other McFarlane heroes. These are some various DC heroes from the Rebirth comics. Then, next to some heroes from the DC Cinematic Universe. These figures are from Zack Snyder's Justice League. And here, next to the recent The Suicide Squad wave. Then, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here's Dr. Fate, next to the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman wearing the Helmet of Fate. When I first saw this Wonder Woman release, and then I found out they're making Dr. Fate, I figured they would just repurpose this head and helmet. But no, they are completely different. As you can see, there is absolutely no question these heads are completely different. If you were to rip this Helmet of Fate off this Wonder Woman, this is what she looks like underneath. But the cool thing is, then she comes with this helmet that you can put onto almost any figure. And then I thought to myself, if I take the head off this Dr. Fate, he could have it under his arm like he's holding his helmet, but then I would need an unmasked head. So I've seen Kent Nelson depicted as both an older man and a man with blonde hair. I took these two figures out of my collection. This is a Diamond Select Toys Westworld Robert Ford and a NECA Homelander from The Boys. I'm going to head swap these guys and see if that works. Here's a Robert Ford figure holding the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman Helmet of Fate. I think it looks pretty good. And you can shove the helmet onto his head. Here's Dr. Fate with the older head. Doesn't look quite right. I don't know if it's too small or just not sitting down the neck enough. Not happy with how this looks. And here he is with the Homelander head on. Size-wise, it fits pretty good, but it's just way too recognizable as Homelander to me. And NECA didn't even do that good a job on the face sculpt. Normally, this would be the part of the video where I compare this guy to all my different Mattel and DC Direct Dr. Fate figures, but this is actually the first Dr. Fate figure I've actually gotten. I passed on the DC Universe Classics and DC Direct Dr. Fate figures, as my collection is pretty much Batman and related. I am all in for the McFarlane DC Multiverse. I do wish I had some previous Dr. Fate figures at this point. Now let's check him out, next to all my different Injustice figures. Here he is, next to the McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice collection. And here he is, next to Storm Collectibles Injustice Bane. Now this Bane is huge, but he's actually still scaled up to be with these 7-inch figures. So he's actually in scale with McFarlane DC Multiverse line. Then, next to my Mattel Injustice figures. And here he is, next to my SH Figure Arts Injustice figures. Here's my entire Injustice and Injustice 2 6 and 7-inch action figure collection. Now let's check him out, next to all my different Justice League Dark and Magic type figures. Here he is, with all of my John Constantine figures. Then, next to a couple of Etrigan, the Demon figures. And here, with a couple of Zatanna figures. Then, next to Deadman. And next to a Swamp Thing figure. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale, all from different various video game properties. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys. And now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, next to some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, he's a pretty cool figure. The detail's fantastic, the texture and sculpting top notch. His articulation, everything's pretty good. Could use some more thigh rotation, and his head articulation could definitely use a little more range of motion. The ball joints in his wrists look absolutely hideous. Beyond that, this figure is excellent. If it weren't for those 2 things, the articulation and the wrist joints, I'd probably give this guy easily an 8.5 out of 10, but I'd say those 2 things dropped down to a 7.5 out of 10. It would be nice if he came with some kind of accessory as well. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.